5, 4, 3, 2. Realtors, you're in the right spot.
We're going to do this together.
Welcome to the Leading Edge Podcast.
These mentors showed me a map of success.
This is the place for real estate pros like you to get better at running your business, balancing your life, and having happy clients.
Do you know how powerful you are?
And now your host, Eric Thompson.
What's up, everyone? It's your good friend, Eric Thompson. This is the Leading Edge Podcast, episode 66, called The Magic Formula. Guys, thank you so much for engaging with this podcast. I so appreciate it. Guess what? I just had a birthday. Yesterday, I turned 51. So I'm recording this here podcast at the end of May 2021. And I so appreciate you engaging with this. This one is going to be super helpful. It's for all my real estate friends out there, all my real estate professionals. This thing called the Magic Formula will be hopefully a game changer for you. It's a really simple, straightforward little formula that will make a big, big difference. I know you're going to get some big ahas out of our quick little time together. Okay, so here's the deal. The deal is realtors want to help more people. All right. I think that's pretty understandable, pretty predictable. You get it, right? If you're a real estate professional listening to this, and I know you are, what you want to do is you want to help even more people. You want to be more helpful to more people. You want to have more transactions. You want to have more closings, which means you earn more income. But mostly what I know about you, you just want to help more people, which then begs the question, so how do I do that? All right, how you're thinking, how can I do that? How can I have even more people to help? Well, it turns out this formula will work. And it turns out it's straightforward because there are only two parts to the formula. So it's blank plus blank equals more help, equals more people to impact, equals more closings, more transactions, more money. All those things. But ultimately what we're talking about here is help, right? How do you have more people to help? There are only two parts. The first blank you will predict. You already know what's going to go in this first blank because we talk about it all the time. It gets talked about a lot in our industry, and it's totally legitimate, even though it's talked about a lot. It's not talked about too much. That's not the point that I'm making. What goes in that first blank is the word relationship. No surprise. We know that, right? We know that relationship is a huge component of this whole thing called the real estate transaction. Why is that? Well, the reason why is the real estate transaction is very emotional, it turns out. It's really one of the most emotional things that a person will ever go through in their life. Now, there are things that are more emotional, of course, but there aren't many, right? There aren't many things that are a bigger emotional roller coaster than a real estate transaction, right? Someone's home is a big deal, right? There's so many things tied to that, right? All the things about their family and their friends and their relationships and their memories and, on and on and on. Plus the fact that there's a lot of money on the line, right? Plus the fact that it's risky, plus the fact that they don't do it very often, plus the fact that it's super complex, getting more complex all the time. So all of that means that they need someone who they trust, who they like, who they believe really gets them, really understands them, who's going to be with them side by side, holding their hand, arm in arm, being their advocate through the whole process. Right? And these are all things that we already know, we already understand. We get that relationship is a massive, massive deal. But, so here's the but that's not the only piece. And that is a little bit of a trap that realtors sometimes get into where they think that it's only relationship. Now, I don't want to discount relationship. Or relationship is a big deal, like I just said. But it's not the only deal, is my point. So we're not going to get it done on relationship alone. You're not going to get your goal accomplished. You're not going to help the number of people that you want to help. You're not going to have the amount of income. You're not going to have the amount of transactions. You're not going to achieve the vision on relationship alone. All respect due to relationship, and understanding that relationship is a big component, but it's one of two components. So now you're asking yourself, all right, what's the second component then? What goes in the second blank? What goes in the second blank is credibility. All right, credibility is equally as important as relationship. So credibility means ultimately that they believe that you know what you're doing. All right, do you guys see that? Do you understand that? So they must like you and trust you and all those things, and also really know that you know what you are doing, that you are a highly credible person, that you're a pro, that you're an expert at this, that you can navigate the complexity, that you know the steps, that you know what to do next, you know how to handle the big things that might come up, that you are a terrific negotiator, right? That you are part of a really professional team, that you're ultimately that you're just a total pro, right? That you are really, really good at this. I think that we can draw a correlation to a doctor, right? So if you think about a doctor that gets recommended to you, if you need to go see a doctor for whatever reason, whatever it may be, you might ask your friends. You may ask some people that you trust about who maybe they had to go deal with the same thing with their health. And the person that gets recommended to you, you can imagine, is going to have likely a really good bedside manner, in quotes, that bedside manner, kind of that classic thing that we think about. Ultimately, what that means, they're just a nice person, right? And someone who is really good. That is who is going to get recommended. And think about if it was you who was being asked to recommend a doctor. So someone comes to you and says, hey, I need to go see a doctor about this certain thing, right? So for instance, I had to have knee surgery. And there's a woman I know who knows a lot of doctors. So I went to her and said, hey, dude, can you recommend a knee surgeon I need to go talk to? I need to talk to an orthopedic. I know that you know a lot of them. And so how she made that choice, kind of what went through her mind is who is someone that's nice, right? That's enjoyable to be around, and also who really, really knows their stuff. So it's got to be both, right? So nice alone isn't going to get it done. And also just being an expert, being really, really good, but being a jerk, that's not going to get it done either, right? And I'm exaggerating, of course, when I say jerk. So my point is, you got to have both, right? So you must have both. So they must ultimately believe this about you. Like when they think about you, these are the beliefs, these are the thoughts that must go through their mind. They must believe that you are a really great person who's enjoyable to be around, who is great at understanding and great at asking questions, and who really gets them, and where they know that you are going to be someone who's trustworthy, someone they can count on, right? All those really wonderful relationship skills. They must believe that about you. And also, they must believe that you really, really know your stuff, that you know the market, that you have great processes, that you're a great negotiator, that you know all the steps, that if something comes up, you're going to be able to deal with it. They must have all of those beliefs going through their mind in order for them to want to work with you, and also in order for them to refer you. So it's both those things, right? It's both working with you and referring you. We got to have the magic formula. So the magic formula, again, it's relationship plus credibility equals help, right? Equals more people to help, equals more transactions, more income. Ultimately, though, it's you being able to be more helpful to more people. It's relationship plus credibility. Now, I'm going to get into how do you build those things, right? It begs the question, so how do you demonstrate those things? How do you build those things? How do you build up those beliefs in their mind? We'll talk about those. But first, what I will offer to you, based on my experience of working with a lot of people, right? Like a lot, a lot of people one-on-one, a lot of people in groups, in my group coaching program, in one-on-one coaching that I do. I certify people to coach other realtors. What I see very frequently is a gap on the credibility side. That's what I see most often. So what I see most often is the people in this business, the people who are attracted to this business, they already have terrific relationship skills, right? So it's very likely you listening to this, you're just amazing at building relationships. You are a natural at it, right? You just are naturally engaging. You enjoy people, even if you're not like a big time extrovert, like even I'm not a big time extrovert at all, but you can be even introverted, but still really enjoy people, really enjoy getting to know someone, be great at asking questions, be great at understanding them, be great at uncovering their needs, want more than anything just to delight them and take care of them and offer wonderful service to them and have them be happy. You know, what you want more than anything is for them to be just really, really pleased, and for them to adore you, and for them to be your raving fan, and for them to be referring all their friends to you, right? You're just terrific at that. It's very likely that you don't need much coaching when it comes to building up relationship. However, again, what I see really, really often is that the gap is over on the credibility side. That's the opportunity to build up, where they probably see you as a really great, really nice person. But what they don't fully get yet is the credibility, right? They probably don't fully understand what a pro that you are. So that's the chance to build into their mind. That's the gap that we can fill. That's the opportunity to get better, is to build up more on the credibility side. Okay, so we'll talk about that. But first, just real quick, this does beg the question, so how can I really demonstrate that I'm terrific on the relationship side? Really what it comes down to is one word. It comes down to empathy, okay? Anyone who's viewed as, who's seen as, who's felt as someone who's amazing at relationships is someone who is viewed as empathetic, all right? And what does empathetic mean? Empathetic just means that you can easily put yourself in the other person's shoes, which, by the way, it's different than sympathetic. Sympathetic is when you like really go there with them. And, if they're really mad, you go get mad too. If they're really upset, you get upset too. That's not what I mean. What I mean is that you can just understand that, right? You can just, you can see the world through their eyes. And the way you demonstrate that you can see the world through their eyes is that you just repeat back what they said. So people who are really good at demonstrating empathy, who have great empathetic skills, really it's simple. They are good at asking questions. They're good at listening to the answers, and they're good at repeating back what they just said. So a simple one would be asking a question like, so tell me, what are some things that are most important to you as we're looking for a new home for you? What are some of the key things that we want to be sure to look for and find? And then you be quiet and you listen to the answer, and then you just say back to them, okay, so it sounds like these are the things that are important to you, and it seems like this might be most important to you. And then say, do I have that right? I mean, there you go. It's really that simple. To be empathetic, that's all you got to do. Be good at asking questions, be good at listening, and then just repeat back what they said. You'll show that you are great at relationships, and guess what? You do this already, okay? You already do this already. So then let's shift over to credibility, and let's talk about that opportunity, right? So the opportunity, again, is for you to build up credibility. It is so likely, if you're listening to this, if you're a real estate professional listening to this, it is so likely that you have all kinds of people who view you as a great person, just really nice. Like if someone were to ask one of the people in your sphere, in your database about you, it's so likely that the response would be like, oh yeah, he's great. She's awesome. He's a really nice guy. She is just terrific. I really like her. Like that would so likely be a response. However, would they rave about your credibility? Like would they say, and you know what else? She really knows her stuff. Like she really, really gets the market. She is a total pro. Boy, I really count on her when it comes to real estate, right? And being my real estate expert. Are they saying that? that likely is the opportunity. So how do we build up credibility? Well, there are three things that you can do, three things you can be great at, three things to focus on to build up that belief of credibility in the mind of your client. And guess what? We need to start with you. Like you need to believe it yourself, and please believe that. Like, just start believing it right now. And I will, even these three things I'll give you as ways to build up the belief in the mind of your client will also work in the mind of you. But please believe that. Even if you're newer to the business, you can believe that right now. Like, you are an expert. Like, by definition, if you're listening to this, you are a pro. Like, you've committed to be amazing at real estate. So believe it about yourself first, and that will increase the odds of your client believing it too. But let's get into these. All right. Number one on the list of three things, three ways to build up credibility. Number one would be to evaluate all of your moments of truth. All right. Look at all the moments of truth, evaluate those, and do they all score like a 10 out of 10? All right. Those moments of truth. And what I mean by that are all the moments where someone would discover you for the first time, right? Where someone would be interacting with you for the very first time, would be seeing about you, hearing about you, are all those dialed in, all right? So how about your web presence? Have you ever Googled you? Try that. Google yourself and see what happens, see what comes up. Like, is it clean? Are all the things consistent, right? Is there consistent messaging? Do you have, like, oftentimes when I help people with this, like, we uncover like old photographs, like an old profile pic from way back in the day, and you're wearing some kind of fashion that's not in fashion anymore, or you just look a lot different, right? And then meanwhile, there's this other newer photo too, and that sends mixed messages. Is all the copy really dialed? Like, is all looking really good? Are you on LinkedIn? Right? LinkedIn is a place that always pops up when someone Googles you. Like, so is your LinkedIn profile dialed? Do you have your Facebook business page? Do you have your Google business page? How does your personal website look? How about how you dress? How about how your car looks? How about how all your signage looks? How about your voicemail message? Like, all those things have to just be really clean, really dialed. And I don't mean like stiff and all, all stuffy, and that's not what I mean. And what I mean is it consistent? Is it authentically you? Is it looking really professional and really dialed in? When people first see that, or they're like, hey, this person really looks like they know their stuff. Whether it be someone who already knows you or someone who is discovering you for the very first time, is it dialed? So just do a simple evaluation, like a simple analysis of your moments of truth. There aren't many, and just ensure that all those would score a 10 out of 10. That's a simple exercise, starting with just go Google yourself. That's number one. Number two, I want you to look at your collateral, right? What do you have as collateral? What do you have to back up the fact that you are a pro? So by collateral, I mostly mean things that are in print, but for sure it could be electronic. So what are you handing someone that they're going to look at, that they're going to take with them, that's going to reinforce that you're a total professional, that you really, really know your stuff? And so right now I'm talking about like anything that's like a report. Like, what kind of market reports do you have that either you or your company produce? Even if it's something that you're pulling out of your MLS, like, do you have those? Like, do you have those on hand? Does it look really dialed? Does it look professional? Is it a consistent theme with all the other marketing collateral that you have, right? Again, the consistent photography, consistent copy, consistent fonts, right? Like, all those things. So do you have collateral to back it up? So that would be market information, market insights, market data. There's all kinds of sources to have that. It would be things that explain your process. So here's my process for buyers. Here, let me show that to you. I'll give that to you. Here's my process for sellers. I'll hand that to you. I'll give that to you. Do you have the classic buyer's packet and the classic seller's packet, like a packet of information that's everything that a buyer or seller would ever want to know about buying or selling in your market? And those would be two separate packets. And do you have those on hand to someone, right? So think about any professional that you interact with, anyone that you view as being highly credible, is it likely that they have something that they can hand you that backs up their credibility? Yes, for sure. And is it likely that whatever they're handing you is really, really dialed in? Yes, for sure. So do you have that? Like, do you have a very credible packet that backs up your credibility, where they look at that and say, wow, this person really knows their stuff. Like, clearly they know the market, because look at this great information about the market in this packet. Clearly they have some great processes in place, because here's something that explains how they work with buyers. Here's something that explains how they work with sellers. Do you have that put together? Do you have your collateral dialed? That's number two. Number three, as a really great way to build credibility, to demonstrate credibility, to get the person to say, wow, this realtor, this real estate pro, they really, really know their stuff. It's your ability to answer, how's the market? You must be really amazing, really awesome at answering the question, yeah, so how's the market? Most realtors, what I find, really fumble with that question, right? They say something that's not effective, that doesn't do a thing to build up credibility. They're saying things like, oh my gosh, it's so crazy, or oh my gosh, I'm so busy. Like, think about that as a way to build credibility. Have you built any credibility by telling someone that the market is crazy? Like, do they walk away from that conversation saying, yeah, wow, they're a real pro, they're a real expert because they told me that the market is crazy? Yeah, no, that's not going to happen. What is going to happen, what is going to work, when you can give a great, insightful, impactful answer to the question that demonstrates credibility. You know how you do that? All you got to do is memorize 3 stats about your market. So the people that I coach, what I tell them to do is, like, metaphorically find 3 little nuggets about the market and put them in your pocket. So imagine that you're taking these 3 little nuggets, these 3 little facts about the market, and you put them in your pocket, and there they are in your pocket. When someone comes along and they ask you about the market, yeah, so how's the market? All you think about is just taking those little nuggets out of your pocket and handing them to them as like a little gift. Like, here's a little gift of knowledge, a little gift of wisdom that I'm going to give to you. Some people I work with, they even write down those 3 facts about the market on a little sticky note, and they put it in their pocket. And that allows them to memorize what those 3 things are. So they can be anything. They can be any fact, any stat about your market, but just be prepared to share them. I think some go-tos are prices. What's happening with prices? So over the last 12 months, what have average prices done? Another one would be days on market. So how fast are properties selling right now? Another one would be interest rates. Where are interest rates today? Another one would be number of transactions. What have transactions done this year compared to last year? Well, like, for instance, you could say, what's interesting is that the number of transactions, it's up 5% compared to last year. So we're seeing even more demand right now. Another one would be inventory. So as I'm recording this, inventory is a topic in the market. We're finding lower amounts of standing inventory. So can you talk about that? And say, hey, what's interesting is that our inventory is down over 50% compared to last year, right? And so when you have nuggets like that to share, that will cause them to say, oh my gosh, this person, they really, really know the market. So imagine that you are someone who has dialed in moments of truth, like all the ways that they discover you and see you and interact with you for the first time. Imagine that all of those score a 10 out of 10. And then imagine when they do interact with you and they are conversing with you, and now imagine that they're walking away from that with a packet of information, like a really dialed in set of collateral. Imagine that. And then imagine that you've done just an amazing job at answering that question, how's the market? You've given them these terrific 3 little nuggets of information that give them a lot of insight, a lot of value, a lot of perspective on what's going on in the market. Do you see that you have so built up your credibility, right? So if you are someone who has dialed moments of truth, who has great collateral, who can answer how's the market, now you're viewed as someone who really, really knows your stuff. And now also, can't you see, even if you're newer to the business, you can achieve all those things, right? You can have great moments of truth. You can have great collateral. You can be great at answering how's the market. Boom, you're ready to go because you're already just an amazing relationship builder. Go build up the credibility side. What you're going to find is more and more people will be attracted to you. You're going to end up working with more people, helping more people, being more impactful, having more transactions, earning more income, all the things by using that magic formula. Guess what? The magic formula is something we talk about a lot in my Alpha State Mastermind. You want to go to alphastatemastermind.com to check that out, to get signed up, because one of the things inside of my group coaching called Alpha State is all kinds of lessons and insights and strategies for you to build up your credibility and also become amazing at engaging with people and building relationships. So you for sure want to check that out. It's my Alpha State Mastermind. Make sure you go to alphastateclass.com. Go to alphastateclass.com to get signed up for that and to check that out. Guys, this has been episode number 66. I so appreciate you engaging with this. It means the world to me. I look forward to seeing you in the next podcast. Until then, enjoy life on the leading edge.